Hi guys, so today I'm going to talk to you about colour. In a previous cheap and cheerful video, I demonstrated how to isolate an item and either colour and enhance the colours that we've selected, or as we did in our video with the squirrel, is actually inverse that selection and make everything black and white apart from the squirrel. Michelle Miller done a great job doing exactly that. She followed the steps in that video, and as you've seen earlier this week, she actually managed to take this particular image and convert it to a black and white image, all apart from the main telephone box in the picture. Michelle found it really easy to follow along, which is brilliant because that's the idea. But then she also said that she had a lot of difficulty trying to get the second telephone box into colour after she'd isolated the first one. I'm going to show you today an even simpler way of achieving the same thing. It's important to learn about isolating items because that means not just colour but lots of other things we can do with that later on. But for today, I'm going to concentrate and talk to you about colours and how we can change colours in our video. So I'm going to look today at the same image that Michelle used. So this is Michelle's image. And what Michelle done was isolate the telephone box, made everything else black and white except for this telephone box. I'm going to show you another way, a simpler way. And this is going to be so easy to blow your socks off. So what do? I'm going to create what they call in Photoshop a mask. And what a mask is, it's an overlay. It's something that sits on top of something else. Well, in this particular image, I'm going to create an overlay or a mask on top of our original image. Now, our original image is here. It's all colour. There's nothing taken away. There's nothing added. So I'm going to add a mask. And the way I do that is simply make sure I clicked on our original layer. And I'm going to go up to Adjustments. And in this particular instance, my mask I want to create is a black and white mask, because I want to make this image black and white. So keeping it very, very simple, I'm going to go to this icon here, which is half black and half white. So that's our black and white tool. I'm going to click that. And now you can see our whole image is black and white. But what we want to do is to retain the colour in this post box and in this post box. How do we bring the colour back? Well, when we create a mask, and if you look down here in the panel, in the layers panel, when we created a black and white layer, which we did just by making it black and white, that creates its own layer. It also, if you can see this white square, this is what you call a mask. So it creates its own mask. So this mask sits on top of our black and white layer. And the black and white layer and the mask sits on top of our colour layer. So what that means is that as long as I make sure that I'm clicked on our mask, this white square, I can access anything directly below it. Well, in this particular case, we've got our full color image. So how do I bring the telephone box back to being red? Well, this is really simple. Okay, so this is how simple it can be. If I go across to my brush tool, yeah, and just click on my brush tool, and then I've got a black and white upon my little black and white squares. I want to make sure that this is on black, so I'm just going to click this little return button so it's black and white. The other way to do that is to hit Control and X. So Control X, that switches between black and white. And what black does, black removes things from our image. So in a mask, black paintbrush removes items. So In this particular case, it's going to remove our black and white overlay. So if I click on our telephone box and just paint it in our black paintbrush, look at that. It actually removes our black and white layer from that particular point. So we've now gone back to our red telephone box. If I go and change the box over here to white, as I said, if I hit Control or hit the X key, not Control X, just X, it turns it back to white. Then I can restore our overlay. I can turn it back to black and white. X turns it to black, paint it black. So what it means, if you think about it, that means I can then fine tune it, doesn't it? Because if I'm hitting our black box to retrieve the color and I overstep and I accidentally color in bits of this image that I want to keep black and white, all I've got to do is hit the X button and paint it white, and that removes the color from that area. Black to remove and white to bring it back. So I've done this telephone box. What about this one? Well, it's already on black. It's the same layer. So all I've got to do is paint over it again. So if I paint over that again, there you go. Look at that. How simple is that? And just for the sake of it, there's a little traffic cone. I can just click on that. And just to prove a point, our little information board in the middle, that was like lots of different colours. So if I just run my black paintbrush over that, it brings the colours back in that area as well. But I don't want to do that. So X turns it to remove. Yeah. Doesn't matter. And there, remove. And I've now ended up with 2 red pillar boxes. How simple was that? So that's what Michelle asked about. So that's really simple. So you can now go back and you can change the color on, or you can make black and white images and retrieve the color so that at least you've got certain things can highlight in color, like a color pop. But while we're here, I want to show you something else that it's fun, and I can also change everything, because this is why I like Photoshop much more than I like Lightroom. Because not only can I change everything in Photoshop the same as Lightroom, but I can do a lot more. So just for fun, if I've now got my red telephone boxes, but I want to change the color of our telephone boxes, it might sound like a daunting task, but it's actually really simple. So again, if I now go back to our original layer on the bottom right hand corner, so this is the original copy, and I go to our adjustments and I'll go to this box here. It says hue and saturation. Okay, hue and saturation dictates the color of all the different colors. If you can, avoid the master. Nobody wants to use the master image at all. Okay, so what you need to do is to select each color in turn. You can either enhance that color, so if I go to red, I can increase the saturation and make them redder, or I can make them darker. Yeah, but what I can also do from this image, or from this point, sorry, is change the color. So I could say, okay, red, everything that's red in this image I would like to change. So I go up to the hue slider at the top, understanding that right smack in the middle at 0 is red. If I now move my cursor to the left, that red starts to change color. So everything in the image that's red is now blue, or purple or light blue, or if I take it this way, it becomes yellow, green, or pale blue. And now I can play with this, because once I get to a colour that I like, so I might like, say, this blue here, and I increase the saturation, so I can make that darker or lighter. And at the bottom it's got lightness or dark, so I can increase and make it brighter or darker. Yeah. And it opens up a whole new set of possibilities. So this is quite easy to demonstrate on a black and white image. However, how does it work on your original image? Let's go back. So let me get rid of all of the things that we've done so far, and all I'm going to do is drag them into the bin, if you like, and we start again. So if I now from scratch go to my adjustment panel, go to my hue and saturation, and let's pick a color. Let's pick yellow. So anything that's yellow in this image, we can change the color. So we can go to change the yellows to purples or green, or take that back to 0, back to yellow, and I can go back to red. So if I'm going back to red, and now I wanted to change it, so I'll change everything in the image that's red, and you can see the telephone box, the little bollard, yeah, which was red previously, is changing. We've changed it to blue. We can increase that blue, make it royal blue, or make it very pale blue. We can increase the lightness or the brightness, make them grey, in fact. So again, it's a really great tool for changing different colours or increasing the colours or amending colours. So if you've got a blue car but you really want a red car, if you've got green hair and you want pink hair, this is a really good way and a simple way how to do it. If I isolated a particular item, so if for argument's sake this particular telephone box, I'm happy, I want this one kept blue, but I want to change the colour of just this one, then going back to what we did previously, go back to my main layer, I would pick my selection tool, I would run this over my telephone box as we did before, and now I've isolated just this item. And because I've isolated this particular phone box, only what is inside our marching ants will be affected by my next action. Well, I can't use this hue and saturation layer because I've used this already to change the color of both my telephone boxes, so I would have to create a new one. So I'll go back to our layer, our original layer. I could go back to our adjustment panel, hit hue and saturation again. This time, as I selected only this telephone box, only this telephone box will be affected by this next item. So I could change this one to green. So now I have a green telephone box and a blue telephone box. Yeah. And as I mentioned earlier, every time I add a new layer, it gives me a mask. So remember what I said about a mask. Yeah. If there is a mask, that means I can paint out whatever I did previously. So in this particular instance, I've got a black box. So that means that they're kind of switched. So instead of being a white box and I use black to remove, this time I've got a black box, so I'd use white to change. Okay, so click the box, go to my paintbrush, and this time I go to black and I can change it back to where it was before. So where it was, it's confusing me even. Sorry. So black removes. Just keep that in mind. I got that wrong. So black removes, white adds. So we're going to remove what we did previously. Yeah. So I've now turned my green telephone back to blue. And if I went to our hue saturation button above, which was the first one that we created, I can click on that and that would take us back to red. And if you wanted to be really clever, and you wanted to convert everything to black and white apart from that original image, you could go and make your brush smaller and go in between each of these little windows and make sure you deleted all the colour from them by using our other brushes. So that's our cheap and cheerful video lesson for today. I hope you found that useful. It's great fun and you can use it for all sorts of stuff, and just give it a try. You know, it can be any item at all. Let me just, for argument's sake, bring up another item, one that we probably know. Let me see. Let me just pick. So you've seen this robin that I posted earlier this week. It's green, okay, and it'll work exactly the same way. So there's nothing different here. So if I went to my adjustment panel, color, and I chose reds. Well, this is mostly yellows and reds, but if I chose red for this particular instance, I can change our robin to a different color and to make him a yellow robin. Hey, how's that? Yeah, I can make it brighter or darker. Yeah, it doesn't have to stay, you know, one color. It can be anything at all, and there's a whole host of different things that we can do. So that's our first lesson on color anyway. So try it, have a play. It's great fun, and you can come up with some really amazing photographs. You can, you know, just have a go, have a play. Any questions, give me a shout, and we'll do another one very soon. All right, guys. So take care and speak to you soon.